How this all came about is I went to a Board of Governors meeting with Western States in October, I think, to see my boyfriend Bill Gore get voted on to the Board of Governors. And during the meeting, someone brought up doing this trophy and honoring Wendell Robie or the 500-mile horses. I don't remember exactly. I just knew Wendell Robie was part of it. And they were talking about doing a bronze, and I had already done one bronze and I was working on a second one. And I offered to do the bronze for free if they would pay for my expenses and foundry costs. They gave me more details, and originally I was hoping it was going to be a horse going over Cougar Rock, a horse and rider, and I thought that would be so much fun to do. And then he gave me the picture of the famous Wendell Robie photo of him giving his horse the water in the canteen. And I talked to Jeff Herton, and he had told me that I could either do a bas relief or a full-size sculpture, and asked me what I recommended. And in talking to Ronnie, we talked about doing a bas relief and doing a full-size or doing a bust, and Jeff had recommended doing a bust, you know, just a partial figure. So Ronnie and I talked about a time frame, and she said, you know, I can do it, but you have to have the piece here on June 1st, which gave me like 31 days. So I worked my butt off and got it done, and it was the most wonderful experience I've done artistically. I mean, I just was 13, 14-hour days, wake up really early in the morning, and I don't get up early. And I was up late at night, and I pretty much just worked on that, fed my dogs, and Bill took care of me, and it was wonderful.
Well, Diana came to me for, which all my clients do, to cast a piece that she was commissioned for. It's called the Wendell Robie Trophy. And so she was commissioned, and it will be to take it from the very beginning, which is the mold making, casting, finish, and patina. It's a very complicated process, and it is the lost wax process, which is very old. It's probably back to the Bronze Age, over 6,000 years old. And we're still fairly barbaric in our techniques, in that the only difference really is that I have gas for my furnace and my kiln. But the process is very complicated in that each process has many days and detailed. So a piece like Diana's is going to commonly take about 3 weeks for the mold, and about 6 to 8 weeks to cast it, patina it, and have it prepared for a gallery.
What I learned being an artist, I graduated from Pasadena Art Center College of Design, and it's a very difficult four-year college. And I remember probably one of my favorite teachers, Ted Youngkin. He was a perspective teacher, and he said that when you do a piece, any kind of artwork, you have to be accurate. You have to make sure that if you're going to do a horse, let's say an Arabian, that it has to look like an Arabian. If you're going to call it an Arabian, it can't look like a quarter horse or an Appaloosa, because someone out there is going to know that it's wrong. And so that's where you have to have your research done. And I've been always pretty good about that and making sure that my art was accurate. And there's a fine line there where you can be creative and not have accuracy and still have a beautiful piece. Or if you're going to do something anatomically correct, it has to be correct. Or you're not going to convince people that it's good art. So for me, I spent a lot of time researching the project. I went to Western States, Terrell Reed, and I spent some time in the office and going through old photos, and I picked the ones that I knew was going to help. Bill's partner, Rennie, had some old pictures of Wendell, and between that and doing Google images, which I did, I would Google a horse's mouth smiling or, you know, showing teeth. And I got numerous photos of that just so I could see what that looked like. And canteens, the saddle was probably the hardest thing for me to figure out what he was riding in. I set up Bill on a saddle in my living room and took photos of him holding a bottle and holding something else in his other hand because I wanted it to be accurate. So it was such a great process when I did the armature. That was also as anatomically correct as I could do for the horse, an Arabian, and also for a man figure. And so I did the armature and the skull and the hands and all that, and I measured everything. And when I was working on it, you know, you only see the 2D photo, but you turn it a little bit, and it's like, okay, so the hand, you can see the hand like this, but what does it look like from this side, or what does it look from this side or upside down? And that, if you don't know what you're doing, it's going to look like mush. So, or just, it's going to look weird. People are going to look at it and say, well, why does that hand look like that? It doesn't look like a hand, at least from that angle. So my research on getting every side was as detailed as I could possibly get it. And then even probably the last day that I was working on it, I would turn it over and I'm like, oh, I need to fix that because I don't know what that looks like. And so I'd go and I'd research, and so I don't know if that explains it.
The challenges, particularly on Diana, is that it's a very highly detailed piece. So there are pieces in the original clay, which is it's a oil-based clay, which most sculptors sculpt in that know they're going to go to bronze. And the detailed portions of it are so tiny, such as portions of the saddle, tassels, reins, the rope portions could not be molded, so they'll have to be fabricated. Well, the actual sculpture of the Wendell Robie was commissioned. They commissioned Diana to do that, and she came to me with the idea. And some sculptors will work from the original idea, or they'll work with photographs that have been given to them. And in Diana's case, there's a likeness for Wendell Robie, which is very difficult for artists to do, and she did an amazing job on it in a very short, limited time. So that's one portion of it that it's my understanding. I really don't get too involved in the projects that they go to. My job is to produce the piece. So it's my understanding that the Wendell Robie sculpture is for the 100-mile ride. And then that organization also requested medallions, which Diana sculpted separately. Beautiful job on those pieces, and we are casting those pieces as well.
Right today, I started working on the medallion waxes. After the wax is poured, there's edges and imperfections because of the nature of the mold that need to be taken out. And so I'm sanding all those edges so they're round again. And later on this week, or actually next week, I'm going to be working on the wax for the Wendell piece and working on the detail on that, because the piece was so detailed that there's all these seams and edges, and I don't know what they call them, but I think the gates, or I don't know what Ronnie told them, described them as, but all that stuff needs to be taken out so you don't see it. And then at that point, they'll start making the slurry mold or dipping it in the slurry to do the next process. It's very, very detailed. I'm actually shocked at how much, even when I delivered the piece, I didn't know all the processes that they have to go through. So
currently, after the oil-based sculpture was completed by Diana, it takes about 3 weeks to produce that mold. And so currently we just completed that mold. We're pouring waxes now. And then it has to go through a process to prepare it for the pouring of the bronze. And we are expecting to pour that in metal approximately the 12th or the 14th of July to meet our finish deadline of the July 30th date. You know, I just like to say that, you know, I've worked with many, many different artists through the years, from really large monuments to really small gallery type pieces, and for commissions such as this Wendell Robie event. And Diana is very, very talented, and it's been really a joy to work with her because she does what the Foundry asks her to do. She does it in a timely manner. She is very talented, and we're looking forward to this piece and other works by her. The spectrum of what a foundry does can be anything from corporate to personal. We cast for just an array of people, as well as myself, and that's really what precipitated the foundry for me in doing my own sculptures, and my frustration in going to foundries that were not always on time, and also the excellence in the castings that I personally look for. So we do really large monuments, as I said before, all the way down to almost jewelry size pieces. But it is a process, and it's a lot of hard work, and it's just pure passion in here. That's what drives us.
the medallions are the piece, it's a little silver dollar piece, bronze piece that's going to be inscribed on the back, are given to horses, owners that have finished Tevis 500 miles or 5 times. And the bronze itself is going to be set on a base, and the names of these horses are going to go around the base, like the Tevis Cup and the Scripps and the Haggin Cup. So the medallion is just something that these owners can take home after Tevis. And there's, I think to date, there's about 45 retroactive horses, which is pretty amazing, you know, since the ride started. So that's what I'm working on today, sanding them. I'm just so excited to be a part of this, so I just feel so blessed, and thank everybody that trusted me to do something that I had never done before to this extent. I'm pretty touched.